Marco, can you tell us? So basically, so of course today I'm very happy, to welcome to welcome Marco. Marco, by the way, has a funny story because as you may know, he applied at the same time as a girl was with Laura was her friend that she met when you were what at the kindergarten? No, at the middle school. You know, so it was funny because we're at the same time two students who come from the same city and we know each other very well. And by the way, they will study in the same campus. Huh? So you tell us more about this story. So, Marco, so can you tell us more about yourself? Marco? Marco, you must be on mute, Marco. Hello? I cannot hear you. Marco? How come you cannot hear us? Marco, Xenia, can you check? Hello? Can you call him? I don't know, we cannot hear him.
Okay, just to briefly introduce myself.
Okay.
I come from.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Go ahead. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Yes. Can you hear me? Yeah.
So can you tell us more about yourself, Marco? So,
Okay.
so basically, I'm going to introduce.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody, I come from Italy, in North. I apologize for the delay. I come from the north of Italy. I have studied economics in bachelor in my hometown. After that, I applied to Bocconi, which is like a most prestigious Italian university. During my for a Master of Science, after economics, I have decided to study more about management.
Yeah.
After that, I have done a double degree program within RSM in the Netherlands, and I have managed to work while studying at while studying. I have managed to secure a summer internship in the UK. After that, I started my working experience as in consulting. I have worked for about 5 years. In February, it would have been 5 years since I have worked in consulting. I've worked mainly in boutique and small firms, and I have specialized in financial services and strategy consulting in particular. My firm was quite small in Italy, but has a huge presence in France. Before it was well known, for example, in HEC, INSEAD environment. Now my company has been acquired by Accenture Strategy, but I have, since I was studying and interacting with my other consultant colleagues, I have always wanted to do an MBA. As a matter of fact, in order to become step up my career, join, for example, more prestigious companies, or furthermore to travel abroad. Because for personal reason, I decided to stay after like studying abroad, working abroad. I decided to go back to Italy for personal reason. But now, therefore, I was finding quite difficult, for example, to move abroad and change, for example, geography.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I decided to apply for an MBA. Unfortunately, I was planning to do an MBA earlier, like after 3 to 4 years of experience. Yet COVID-19 blocked everything, because I really believe in the importance of doing an MBA live in order to secure network, to make like a lasting relationship with other people. And therefore, I started quite slowly to study and prepare for the MBA. The GMAT?
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll go. I will ask you for more questions. So
yes,
basically, Marco, so I know that you have applied to many more schools. So you have applied to European programs, mainly INSEAD, HEC, IMD. I don't know if you have sent your application to all of them. So why have you decided to do I know you're Italian. You have already studied at the Bocconi, which is one of the most prestigious universities in Europe. So why have you decided to stay in Europe? Is it for convenience reasons? Is it because you want to stay in Europe the rest of your life? Why Europe when you're European, and maybe you could have learned much more in the US?
Yeah, mainly for personal reasons, because in the future I can envision my long-term career in Europe, and therefore I would be fine. It would be has been like very interesting to travel and work in the American market. But deep down, I would know that it would have been like a short-term project. And also for this reason, I believe that INSEAD is a great choice. I hope so, because it would allow me to like do experience abroad, but for in the short term, while still developing a European network and therefore facilitating my long-term career in Europe. Yeah, that's are the main reason that's pushed me in order to stay, because
So basically, so you stay in Europe because, and is it also because of the format? Because of course, if you have picked up INSEAD, IMD, and HEC, HEC can be completed between 16 to 12 months, but probably will have been 12 months. Is it also because of the format, Marco?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, in my opinion, given the fact that I have done economics,
Yeah.
and management studies, taking a 2-year gaps in order to further go in deep dive and analyze, study topics which I have already covered in like 5 years of bachelor and master of sciences studies would have been too much in my opinion, and therefore it would mean I prefer the 1-year program. Furthermore, I have 5 years of experience working and 5 years of studying in universities. Therefore, 2 years is a very long time, and it would have been a very long gap.
Yeah.
And therefore, I prefer to stay like in this more European 1-year
Okay. So
MBA program.
it makes more sense for you to have a 1-year program. And of course, you have to understand, that there's Oladayo with some Africa, there's Vertica with some India, but you have to see, all of you who are not from Europe, that um, Europeans usually finish their studies quite old, because in Europe we all do a master's. It's very rare that a European finish his studies after the bachelor. Okay, when it is quite common in the US. So basically, the bachelor between 3 to 4 years, they finish when they are 21, 22. So after that, of course, you can work for a couple of years or maybe more, and then go for a 2-year program. It's true that Marco, you already has. You have what? You have like 2 masters, Marco. How many masters have you got? You have 1 master, 1 or 2 masters. Okay,
Yeah, 2 masters, because
and
in Italy the Master of Science is called the Laurea Magistrale, which is like 2 years. It's a 2 years program. In
okay.
order, therefore, it's more tricky and longer, as Hubert correctly said.
Yeah. So basically, that's why people, Europeans, usually they finish their studies at minimum 23 years old, and sometimes they take a gap year, so it can be 23, 24. For instance, to give you an idea, you have my son, my oldest son, for instance, who started to work when he was 24 because he went to ESCP, did the MIM there, and he took a gap year, what at the ESCP, and I have another one who finished the same thing. He studies when he's 24 because he wants to be a lawyer. He has to pass the bar exam. So, usually when you're lawyers, you have like 2 masters, and they do 1 or 2 masters, and then after that they take the bar exam. Okay, so basically they both started to work when they were um, 24. Huh? Okay, so it's something very common. So of course, if you start to work when you're 24 and you go again for an MBA at the age of 27, 28, you want a 1-year program. Yeah. Okay. Well, basically, you have been accepted to all of them. Have you been accepted to HEC? Yeah, you have been accepted to HEC as well, I guess.
Uh,
Yeah.
okay, thanks to the MBA Center, program. Okay, INSEAD was first. INSEAD was my top choice. Therefore, I scheduled everything in order to have like the answer of INSEAD as the first one.
Yeah.
And like because HEC and IMD in Switzerland were my second and third choice. They were like scheduled in order to have the deadlines which came later. In that way, once I have like, for example, once I have the known that I was admitted by INSEAD, I just like contacted the university, said that I was not more interested in the MBA program.
Okay. But
Therefore,
have you received for HEC and IMD an
no,
invitation to
I
the
stopped
so you stop
earlier.
there? Yeah,
I
but
stopped
of course,
earlier.
having been accepted to INSEAD, you will have been accepted to HEC, and IMD as well. Huh? Okay, yeah, because as you know, if you knew there, and the top schools in the top 2 schools in Europe are INSEAD and LBS. It's somehow the League One, and then you have a League Two with IAC, HEC, and I would say IMD. Okay, and then you have others with ZAD. So these schools are very good, but there are several layers in the ranking. Okay, alors basically, you have been accepted to INSEAD about 1 month ago. Huh? When did you receive the answer? It was 1 month ago. So what
Yes.
have been your contacts so far with INSEAD? Have you already started to receive invitation? Have you planned to go visit the school? Tell me.
Okay. Actually, it has been a very active pre-MBA starts, because, for example, language exams, you will in INSEAD you will have to have free language exam, free language certified before completing the MBA. Before you are like encouraged to study earlier and to develop your knowledge before. Before I'm like now I started studying French. That's the first one. Second one, there is like, for example, if you want to go pursue a career in investment banking, for example, or considering investment banking career, there is like evaluation courses which are offered to MBA students, which will like during the weekends you will have to participate in these, for example, lessons in which we will taught specific knowledge about, for example, valuation and corporate finance, which are, in my opinion, very important skills. Furthermore, given the fact that investment banking is creating an investment banking career is very important to do a summer internship in the between the master in the middle of MBA. The recruiting is already started, and therefore also there is like additional courses which INSEAD offers to its students in order to prepare them to do the summer internship in investment banking. And for example, there will be 3 days meeting with companies and banks in London, which will be organized by INSEAD. Furthermore, there is the possibility to go more in depth about topics such as quantitative skills. I'm quite lucky because I really like mathematics and quantitative subjects. Therefore, I was already like up to speed with data analytics, air programming, and air, for example, analysis. Therefore, I had not to participate in that courses, but for example, university already told this, offered another course in order to strengthen your math and quantitative skills. Furthermore, there is also another bootcamp for startups and entrepreneurship. That's another, for example, experience which is offered by the university. They are organizing calls in order to meet your your next and colleagues, which will join the Master of Science. Before there are also there is like advised reading lists of books you can read in advance in order to arrive more prepared. Therefore, there is already like a lot of activities. I'm lucky that I am European, therefore I don't have to apply for a visa. It's quite easy for me, for example, to go to study in France. Therefore, I just had to find the accommodation. But for example, people coming from the abroad will have to secure, for example, a visa and prepare all the documentation, apply for example, yes.
This. So basically, what I want to tell you is that, maybe because I see that there are also the two Filippos here, and there's also Amin and Yasmin as well. So they are also students from who will apply for masters. Basically, what I want you to understand is that once you get accepted, are you still with us, Marco? Have you disappeared? Hello. So once you get accepted, it seems that Marco has disappeared. You can try to reach him. So once you get accepted for an MBA, you came back. So once you get accepted for an MBA or for a master's, don't imagine that because the school starts, I don't know, for Marco in January, for GMIM in September, that if you get accepted like 6 months before, nothing will happen. Okay. Basically, I would say that there are two phases. Okay. There's a first phase where they try to be in contact with you, so they will send you the newsletter, they will put you in contact with alumni, they will invite you to come for I don't know, for an event so that you meet students who have been accepted. So basically, they do that for two reasons. First, there's a noble reason. Of course, they want you to get used to know the school better, and there's also another reason is that they want you to sign with them, because many people like Marco get accepted to other schools, have the choice, and so they want them to feel that there will be something going on. Okay, so it's a way for them to somehow influence their school decision. Okay, well, in the case of Marco, it's done, and then usually 2 months before, there will be like 1 month to 2 months before, there will be something like a pre-MBA or pre-MIM program. Okay, with Marco, it has more or less started, so they will give you like extra courses, so like a pre-MBA course, so to refresh or to improve mathematics, finance, etc. Because they know that once the program starts, it's going to be pretty dense. Okay, so in the case of INSEAD, you have something like pre-MBA courses, but it is not really formalized. In the case of the MIM, it is more formalized in that the students have like 2 months. They have like a 2 months preparation called P0, and P0 is in July and in August, and you have five things, and one of them, of course, is the foreign language. Okay. Now, as you know, if you apply to INSEAD, you have to know that you need to speak a second language, so you need to have like an intermediate level, which is what B2 in a second language. Okay, and it's the only school in the world that will ask for 2 languages. Remember when we invited Susanna from INSEAD, she told us that she's learning Spanish. Marco, of course, is learning French. So they try to learn. Thank you very much for learning French. As you know, Italians and French are brothers and cousins, so it's a good thing. By the way, every time I go to Milan, I'm surprised to see how many people speak French there. Huh? It's better than what we believe. So that's something very common. So you need to speak a second language. When you apply to INSEAD, you have 3 times where you can take, and you need to have a language certificate. So either you start INSEAD with a language certificate, and I strongly advise Marco that you do that before starting INSEAD, okay? Or you get a language certificate during the course of the program, which is not obvious because you have many other courses, or at the end. But anyway, you cannot graduate from INSEAD if you don't speak a second language. And you need to have an intermediate level in this language. Okay. So I would suggest, Marco, that maybe you take the month of December to study your French art, get an exam, pass the exam, and then be done with it. So in terms of personal organization, when will you resign? How are you going to prepare now? What's going to happen in the next 2 months, Marco?
Okay. At the moment, my company has been. I was working for a small boutique consulting, I said, but my company has been acquired by Accenture Strategy, and I will keep working until the very end of December.
Okay.
And yeah, probably no. Therefore, it's going to be quite complicated to schedule everything. But I will just like resign in December, and therefore I have already find an accommodation, and I will prepare everything. But basically, I don't plan to change my life as much until the very beginning of the MBA at the moment.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Because sometimes there's something that I advise you to do, advise you to advise early, to have 1 or 2 months before starting the program. Maybe it can be several things. First, prepare the language test. So that I will take 2 months intensive to reach a B2 level in a second foreign language. It can be also take time for yourself. Okay. Maybe imagine that you have to move far away. Have you already found something in Fontainebleau? You have found the place? Okay, well, already
Yes.
done. Okay. But imagine that you go to the US, you cannot do it. You cannot move 2 weeks before or 1 week before. And also sometimes some people take advantage to already have an internship in the field that they are targeting. Imagine that, for instance, Marco, you want to work in banking. You say, I took like 3 months off, but of course it would have been impossible in your case because you received an offer in October, late September, early October. But sometimes people take like 3 months off to have some exposure to different industry. And of course, this 3 months gap somehow are essential if you're looking for a career change. Okay, that's something that you have to do, especially if you want a career change. Okay. Alors, how will you structure the program? Will you study at Fontainebleau, at Singapore, both? Do you intend to study at Wharton? Can you explain how the INSEAD program is structured? Also the five periods. Can you explain the structure, the campus, etc. at INSEAD to the other applicants?
Okay. Therefore, there are 10 months. It's a 10-month program with a gap of 2 months in the middle, in the summer for summer internships. And basically, there are 5 periods which are divided among the 2 months. Therefore, there are 5 periods of 2 months each. The first, when you apply, you will have to point out which campus you want to apply to and which will be your home campus. Can be either Fontainebleau or Singapore. I've decided to be based on Fontainebleau because it's advised to choose the campus in which we will want to develop the most network, which is the one which is advised to be your home campus. The first 2 periods, for the first 4 months, you will have to spend them mandatory in your home campus. After that, for the last remaining 3 periods, for the last 6 months of program. There is going to be a bidding system in order to allocate the different students. And you can apply in order to move to Singapore, to Abu Dhabi, because there are 2 campuses in INSEAD. There are 3 campuses: Abu Dhabi, Singapore, and Fontainebleau. Otherwise, there is the possibility to perform an exchange. The exchange is based on Kellogg's, Northwestern University. There is Wharton, as said by Hubert, and there is the SAIBS in China, which is Shanghai University. If you are going to go there for 2 months, but you will have also the possibility to access their career services. Therefore, if you want to develop a career in America, it's very advised to go to do. If you are inside INSEAD, it's very advised to go to Northwestern or Wharton, because you will have access to their career center and career services. But it really depends on what you want, because, for example, if you want to go to Singapore in winter, it's going to be of higher demand because the weather is better compared to, for example, going in July or going into, for example, September, May and June. Furthermore, there is also, as said, the possibility to have a summer internship in the months of July and August. Or otherwise, you can just travel, have networks, do, for example, a field trip which are organized by universities, such as there was pre-COVID, there was this fintech and startups in Silicon Valley track, which were like going there and traveling and visiting different companies. Therefore, there is a lot of huge possibilities. My personal choice would be to do a summer internship, because I'm really fascinated by investment banking, and I'm really considering at the moment to do a career switch from consulting. And I believe that the summer internship is, in my opinion, is a good way in order to test if you are like in the right fit, if it's what you want to do, and therefore in order to develop some clear idea. And that's our problem and plan. Therefore, I plan to stay and to have a summer internship in the middle and spend the last 4 months in Singapore. That's my plan. Before the 6 months.
The plan is to spend
before 6 months in yeah. But I will have to decide on February. In February, therefore, I will have the time to discuss more, send the first application, and decide and understand more, speak with other colleagues, and have a clear idea.
Okay. Basically, that's something that you have mentioned, so people understand that INSEAD has several campuses, and you can study wherever you want. You have a lot of options, okay? But at the same time, many schools offer this type of options. You study at LBS the last semester, can be abroad or not. So there are a lot of things. So the question that I have for you is that maybe there's something a bit new that students do not know. Something that you have in MBA programs, not in MIN. At least not at INSEAD, is that you have a bidding system, okay? So maybe people, they did not see that, and they have to understand that basically you cannot attend the class that you want, okay? So the class has a value, and you're given a certain number of credits, and each class, exchange program, whatever, has a value. So can you explain how the credit bidding system works at INSEAD?
Okay, you have a fixed amount of credit. They will provide you with all the past scores from the past bid in order to understand. Maybe if you want to participate in an exam which include a visit in all the, for example, most prestigious Chinese fintech, you will have to you will have a base of points. We will have to decide if you want to spend them in order to move to a campus or to attend an exam. Where it's going to be is just a bidding, and it's like an auction. Given the fact that you are competing with other students for a fixed amount of places and lots, therefore it's going to depend on what the other are going to bid and what you are going to prefer. Therefore, you will have to allocate your budget in order to decide. Maybe, for example, if you want to go to Wharton, it's very competitive because there is like a limited amount of seats, and all the students want to participate and go in that very prestigious university. But basically, also it's guaranteed that you will participate. For example, 2 months exchange is guaranteed. It's like that's the rule. But otherwise, if you want to, for example, participate in more program or decide or a more exchange program, or you want to study and participate in very precise exams, you will have to manage your credits carefully. You will have a past, for example, scores, how much has been spent by the others, in the past years, but otherwise it's going to be an auction, in which you will have the possibility to correct and change what you want. But more details are going to be explained in the months and in the months which to come. Unfortunately, yeah, there is just this is the broad definition, is not more well defined at this stage.
So basically, just so that you understand, that something that comes from the US is that you imagine that business schools cannot. It's strange to know, but they don't have all the offer of courses is not unlimited, and they are going to somehow organize a scarcity by giving you a certain number of credits. So imagine that finance and strategy courses has more value than marketing or anthropology courses, and so that it's to responsibilize students so that they pick up, and they people make a mix between really desired courses and less desired courses. Okay, and of course the exchange program at Wharton has a lot of value. I think that if you take the exchange program at Wharton, imagine that you have like 100 credits, it costs you like already 80 credits. So if you do the exchange program with Wharton, you'll have very uninteresting courses, so the courses that nobody wants to follow. Okay. By the way, that's something a bit strange, huh? Coming from I studied myself. I'm a professor at the University of Liège, as you know, and we don't do that in our university. Students, they choose the courses that they want, okay, and not the studies that have a value. So I'm very surprised by this market approach of courses. I'm surprised, huh? Okay, but that's something. Yes, these business schools also are going to educate you to live in a market-driven economy, and everything as a cost. Okay, Marco, what are your personal and what do you want to achieve with INSEAD personally and professionally?
Okay, yeah, I have some ideas. For example, I'm quite fascinated. I have experience in strategy consulting, but I have also other markets experience which I want to try. For example, I'm very fascinated by the healthcare industry, and I'm considering investment banking. Therefore, there is like a broad range of activities. My goal is during this MBA is to understand exactly where I want to position and pivot my career towards this aim. That's and therefore my first aim of the master is to understand what I want to do and therefore take the right action to pivot into that career.
Okay,
That's my number one priority for the MBA at the
that's a
moment.
priority. Okay, so basically that's something also very important, huh? That's why I'm more in favor of 2-year programs than 1-year program, because for instance, if you want to go for a 1-year program, and same thing for the MIM, okay, you see Filippo, whatever, Yasmin, if you go, and especially when you're young, if you go for a 2-year program, it's perfect program if you don't really know what you want to do. But when you apply for 1-year program, especially in the masters, you have to know what you want to do, because the interviews would be in September, October. Okay, so if you start, for instance, INSEAD in September 2022, the interviews will be at the end of the month of September. Okay, so that's the same thing for you, Marco. That interviews are going to come up pretty soon. Okay, so that's why, well, Marco, yes, I suggest that you know pretty fast what you want to do, because you're going to be the end of the year will arrive pretty soon. So now what Marco has done, because you know instead, unlike the MIM, they have two intakes, one in September and one in January. So he has taken the January one because you can have an internship, you can have like a 6-week internship this summer. So we said that the January one is more interesting because you really have like 1 year. Okay, you agree, Marco? So you start in January and you will finish in December. He has like 6 to 8 weeks to have an internship. When you start with the September program, which is not the program that he has picked up, you start in September and you finish in June without internship. Okay, so I would say that I will value at least to start with the September program. Huh? Okay. What else? What else can we say?
can add just that very advice. Okay, you can come, but in the first 2 months, before 4 months, you will have to pretty surely narrow down what you want to do. And for the first month, you can like visit different student club, talk to people, attend different courses. But since it's just 1 year program, from the 4th month onwards, you will have to have a pretty clear idea of what you want to do. The first at the beginning, my plan is to narrow down my options, and after that, pinpoint and focus on something that what I've decided to do.
Okay.
Before, it's very critical.
So that's something that you want to decide, and I leave you all the yes, it will leave you a lot of time to do so. Okay, yeah. So basically, do you have questions? Maybe you can answer 2 or 3 questions. So I don't know. There are students here. There are students that I know, but I would like to have MBA applicants rather than MIM applicants. Ola Dayo. I know we'll talk right after the meeting, Ola Dayo. Ola Dayo, where are you from, Ola Dayo? I think that you must be from Nigeria. It means Ola Dayo. It's a Nigerian man. Ola Dayo, you have questions for us? Ola Dayo?
Hi, Dr. Hubert.
Yeah.
Hi, Marco. Great one. I'm also looking to study at INSEAD. So I want to know from the time, let's say you're looking at the January intake, when do you have to be on campus?
You're on mute.
It will start actually pretty soon.
Yeah. Go ahead, Marco. Yeah.
Yeah, INSEAD will start pretty soon. The 3 days after the beginning of January. Therefore, I will have my French exam on the 5th of January. Therefore, it's going to be very, very early on the beginning of the next year. Courses are going to start.
You have the French exam, okay? And you feel ready, Marco? You feel ready for the exam?
Not so much, my friend. Luckily for me, the third language is like A2 level. Therefore, it's not too much. I have some basic understanding of French, but I have pretty much to work on my conversational skills. I can read, I can understand, I can write a bit. Unfortunately, the spoke for French is quite a pain point for me at the moment.
So you have like 10 weeks, 10 weeks to review that. And Laura, she will do what? French or English or Spanish? Laura,
Spanish.
Spanish. Okay.
Yeah, I said by Hubert, Laura is my close friend. We have studied together also like high school, university, and we have like motivated each other in order to prepare for example, the GMAT, writing the application. We were like, for example, doing mocking interviews together. That was really, really helpful. As a matter of fact, both from a motivation point of view, because you're like more committed, it's easier to stay motivated, to like express frustration, share your feelings with someone else, and also to improve, like for example, discuss GMAT problems. And therefore, if you have a chance to meet someone which is like aiming to do an MBA or is like common goals, that's something that I really cannot stress I really cannot stress enough how helpful it was for me.
Yeah, so that's why when we discussed this morning with Filippo, etc., and the reason why I want to have a study buddy, it's a very important to have a study buddy. So at MBA Center, they will have study buddies. So Filippo, for instance, my study buddy is Filippo. The two Filippos work together. I mean, for instance, is a study buddy. I don't know which is study buddy. I mean, but they will have study buddies at MBA Center. Someone you work with. Okay. Ola Yadayo, you were not in class this morning, but in class, I would have given you a study buddy. So other questions? I don't know. At the same time, Filippo Higuera. Alors, Filippo, you're more for the MIM, but you have general question about INSEAD, Filippo. Basically, just for your information, the INSEAD MBA, the little brother of the INSEAD MBA is the MIM. To give you an idea, the admission process is very similar. Okay, the structure of the program P1 to P5 is very similar. Okay, so I would say that the only difference is that basically they have introduced the P0 because at the same time the target is younger, but it will be the same campus, the same classrooms, the same clubs, the same professors. roughly the same process. So I would say that the MIM, according to me, the MIM at INSEAD is a sort of junior MBA, which is not the case of the HEC MIM. And it comes from the fact that the experience from INSEAD at INSEAD and from INSEAD comes from the MBA. So Filippo, Higuera, do you have questions, Filippo? Yeah, Filippo? Yeah. You're on mute, Filippo? Okay, Filippo? I cannot hear you, Filippo. Filippo? It's not working. Yeah. Amin, Buadjala, you have a question, Amin? Amin?
All clear. Always clear.
Everything is clear, okay? So everything is clear. Will you apply to INSEAD, Amin? Amin is 20 or 21.
20 years old.
But yeah, you're 20 years old, but yes, you will apply for the MIM. As you know, the program at INSEAD is growing. It's the MIM. Last year they had like 80 students. This year they have 130. Probably next year they will have 150, 160. So it's a program that is growing little by little. Probably, I don't know, maybe in 10 years there will be as many MIM as MBA students at INSEAD, which is, by the way, not really advisable because it's not good for the others. It will may create some problems. Filippo Higuera, what is your question?
Can you hear me now? I'm sorry,
Yeah,
it was not working.
Right,
Congratulations,
right.
Marco, first of all. And secondary, I joined the call like 3-4 minutes later, so maybe I missed this. But why did you choose to go for INSEAD if you're coming from consulting and you want to join investment banking? I've heard,
good question.
yeah, that LBS is kind of better, but because I want to go to consulting, I'm thinking about INSEAD. Otherwise, I would have not. But you surely have your reason.
Yeah, I'm considering. Okay, thank you very much for for everything and for the question. Yeah, INSEAD is like very well known for consulting. As a matter of fact, there is a lot of fellow students which are already coming from a consulting backgrounds. The top employer are McKinsey, Bain, and BCG in this order. Therefore, if you want to move to consulting, I believe that INSEAD is a great choice. As I said, correctly said by you, in the London School, MBA in London would have been better if you, for like a pure, for example, investment banking career. INSEAD, I'm considering it. I'm like, therefore, I want to understand more about this specific subject. But INSEAD, for example, would give you access, for example, to the Singapore markets, and therefore all the Hong Kong internship. There is, for example, a program dedicated to find a summer internship in investment banking in Hong Kong. Therefore, I believe that INSEAD has this very strong network globally that allow you to access, for example, also different markets. That's a strength that pushed me towards INSEAD. Also because yes, it has a broader network, and I'm not sure yet about investment banking. Therefore, this is like why I choose INSEAD.
By the way, when people mention investment banking, I see what Philippe has in mind. You know, in investment banking, you have different type of departments. One is, I don't know, one can be asset management, the other one can be wealth management. There are others that can be project finance, etc. So it's true that according to me, I'm not sure that after INSEAD, when you're 28, 29, you can start as an analyst, okay? And there is and I don't think you see Marco. I know this story pretty well because I have a son who works for JP Morgan, okay? And we joined when he was 23, okay? Something like that. So he joined when he was 23. So basically what these banks are looking for, they're looking for very young graduates, okay, who have either a bachelor or a master. But that's why, I don't know if you know, but we have interviewed this week, Laura Duke. And Laura Duke is the person who has created the 1-year MIM at London Business School. And she made it clear that basically employers, for instance, banks, they want bachelor with 1 year of master, not too long, because they know that they have to teach them everything. Okay, so they don't want people who wait too long. And so usually it's true that Marco, it's unlikely that you work in M&A. I'm sure that you can work in an M&A boutique for sure. Okay, but it's unlikely that that after INSEAD, you can work as a senior analyst for an investment bank because you will compete against people who have joined when they were very young, the M&A department, and that they have trained since their early 20s. Okay, but of course now in investment banking you can expect wealth management or asset management or project finance, and of course, for instance, in project finance, there is a lot of room. So I would say that investment banking, as I said, project finance, asset management, wealth management, retail, but in general, that's something that they offer retail or because I know JP Morgan owns Citibank. So basically, they could that could be possible. Huh? Okay. Yes. So probably, but I think that our friend knows everything. So yes, there's a good chance in reality, Marco, that you go to work for McKinsey in Milan. Okay, good salary, it's very likely, and you have to know also that to stop consulting firm, they want to hire people who speak the language of the country. So being Italian, unless you become completely fluent in French, it's very likely that you will work in Milan and in one of the 3 top consulting firms.
Yeah.
So Filippo Priva, Priva, you're also Italian. So Filippo Priva, last questions. What would be the last question from your side, Filippo?
Well, from my side, my personal question will be basically, so you're choosing INSEAD, and well, have you seen about the professional career after INSEAD? So the partnership that INSEAD has with different companies, consultant companies, and so on, and you have seen McKinsey, but there are other interesting partnership between INSEAD and other multinational companies related to.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Hello, Filippo. Yeah, we lost you. Yeah. What he wanted to say is that the MBBs are one thing, but there are others. Yes, of course. When I talk to my student, many works for strategy, Cisco called strategy that is owned by IBM. Others join Deloitte Monitor, which is others join Oliver Wyman. It's true that people are usually a lot into the MBBs. I'm sure that Marco is considering others as well. Oliver Wyman in Dubai, they pay very well. If you work as a senior associate. Yes, you're considering consulting as well, Marco?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Especially, yes, so this is very correct. There are also a lot of specific and boutiques. And I want to point out that the main, like half of the students which participate in an MBA at INSEAD find a job thanks to a previous connection coming from fellow students and ex-alumni of MBA. And given the fact that, for example, the people that which I have already met are coming from INSEAD, which will join my course, are like most of them are coming from consulting backgrounds, and before they will like you can speak with them. There is like a consulting club dedicated in which you can explore all the different industries. Everybody is bringing their, for example, their experience, and they can like introduce you to their career, to their like companies, and they can like help you in order to decide. There is like a lot of help and consideration about these things. Therefore, I really believe that I really hope that how it is advertised that it really helps you to select the best company, and you will have like a lot of possibilities to meet and speak directly with HR coming from the different companies.
Okay, so that's something very important. Yeah, to give you an idea, as you know, I work a lot with the BCG in Spain and McKinsey. I used to work a lot with McKinsey in Milan. That was before the COVID. So I work a lot. When I say I work a lot, it means that I train their students for that because when you have worked for McKinsey for 2-3 years before becoming an engagement manager, they offer you to do an MBA. So I work with these high-profile people. So what did I want to say to you? So yes, it's true what you're saying. It's true what you're saying. is that, and when I took, for instance, and I work a lot with the BCG as well in Brussels because we also recruit for them. Long story. So basically, what I would say to you is that to give an idea, I have the numbers of the BCG. So the BCG, as you know, on the INSEAD campus, and if you take the 2 years, you have about 800 students. Okay, you have 400 who start in January, and the same number in September. So they told me that out of the 800, 95% of the INSEAD students apply for an interview with the BCG, and they give 40 offers. Okay, so basically it means that everybody wants to work for such companies. Okay, and probably the 50 who do not apply are already paying our BCG consultant. We don't need to have an interview. Okay, so for the rest, so everybody wants to go there. The first reason is that because salaries are high. You must be after INSEAD with bonus, etc. You must be at 130,000 euros. And it goes pretty fast to 300,000 euros. And what you have to see is that these companies have a sort of somehow salaries do not vary from one country to another. Okay, it's not the case. For instance, imagine that you work for BNP, and the salary, the representative of BNP in Italy is Banco del Lavoro, and Banco del Lavoro they probably don't pay as much as BNP in London. There is not this type of difference in at the BCG or Ben McKinsey. Salaries are roughly the same. So imagine as a student, for instance, Alexandra wants to work there. She wants to work in Romania, which is Moldovan, and it's probably slightly less. But imagine that you make more than 20,000 euros in Moldova, you're already a millionaire. Huh? Okay, so basically, so first, it's extremely well paid, and especially in countries where purchasing power is pretty low. So they, in Poland or in Romania.
Yes.
So on a whole, salaries increase very fast. So once you become an engagement manager, you already reach the 300,000 euros. And of course, if you consider that, to give you an idea, in my field, for instance, in education, I think that the dean of HEC, so one of the top 5 positions in the world in a business school, okay, makes less than that, okay, at the age of 50 years old after almost 30 years of work experience. So basically, these salaries are very high, and so that's one thing. And many people they don't want to admit that, but of course it's a big thing, okay. So on a whole, of course, it's very good to have that on your resume. And as you know, on your resume you have to put the brands, okay. So of course, in the case of Marco, they will see Accenture, they will see Bocconi, they will see INSEAD, they will see, I don't know, the BCG. Of course, you built a big brand. You agree? Hello?
Yes,
Marco?
yes, definitely. Yes, definitely, I agree.
Okay. Alors, last question for you, Marco. So, what would you say, Marco? So what are the last pieces of advice that you want to give to the applicants today? Hello?
Yeah, sorry, I was speaking as is in mute. Okay, my
Okay,
last
yeah,
advice is like it's possible to have an MBA. I was like coming from a small boutique, therefore I was not very sure. I said by Hubert, the brand is very important, but I believe that also having a personal story can really help you, and preparation is key. You will
Yeah.
have to spend a lot of you have to spend time preparing for the GMAT, preparing for the application letters, and that was really surprising for me, the amount of time that is required to write essays and to personalize them in order to and prepare for interviews. Therefore, my advice is possible from coming from most of any background. If you prepare hard enough, you can succeed, but preparation is key, and therefore you will have to actually work. But given the amount of time, the right amount of preparation, and the correct partners that will help you, I believe that it's possible coming from pretty any situation to land the MBA of your dreams. Therefore, I really believe that it's just a matter of how much you care about it and just believe it, prepare it, and work with time, prepared like in advance, and it will be possible. That's my advice. And if you want to add me on LinkedIn or contact me, feel free to ask my email or anything. I will gladly respond to any other question. And now I have to say thank you and goodbye. I must leave now, but it's been a pleasure. Thanks for the questions. And if I can help you, anyone in any kind of way, just feel free to contact me. Thank you very much.